My name's Haley Shotman, and for my literacy assignment today, I actually changed my book. I was going to do one a coworker at the hospital suggested to me, but I started reading this book called Song of Achilles that a old roommate suggested, and it was amazing. One of the best books I've ever read. So I just wanted to talk about that and how it relates to chemistry. So a quick summary of the book is it's kind of a spin-off Greek mythology book. It's about the main character. His name is Patroclus. He is a young prince who was exiled and was taken in by a different king who had a son named Achilles. So Patroclus is sent to live with Achilles, and they become really, really good friends. Achilles is the daughter to a sea nymph kind of lady, she lives in the ocean, so she only comes every once in a while to kind of warn Achilles of things and, advise him against things. So as these kids are growing up, they create a really, really cool friendship, and basically this story is about how they fall in love. And it's really interesting. I didn't think I would love it, but I loved it. It's such a good book. I would recommend it to everyone. But Achilles is known to be the greatest fighter in the land, and so throughout the book, he, as they go on to war, he's kind of known to be the greatest fighter in the land, or greatest fighter ever, and so he's kind of desired in the armies. And so in this book, basically he's sent out for training. This is where my first part of chemistry comes in. They're sent out for training. Achilles' mother tells him that he needs to go and fight and train to fight in the war against Troy. And when Achilles is 14, and so a half human, half horse man named Chiron is their trainer, and Achilles tells Patroclus that he needs to go with him to be trained in the wilderness. And in the wilderness, Chiron teaches them how to make herbal medicines, and that's a big chapter. Is Patroclus breaks his arm, and they have to use herbal medicines to help, relieve his pain. And so throughout the book, you can tell that these two boys kind of are falling in love, and in the middle of the book, that's when it's kind of fully expressed. It's really interesting what happens, and so I was just going to relate. It talks in the middle of the book about the love chemical of oxytocin, and I was just going to relate that to chemistry, because obviously that's a chemical in your brain that is present when you are in love, and when you give a hug, or that's released when something like that happens. And so there's a part in the book where it really talks about that because of something that's going on between them. And so then as the book goes on, they're fighting in a war against Troy, and Patroclus is not a fighter. He actually works in the medic tent and really gets to know medicine a lot better, how to treat people for their wounds. And Achilles is a fighter. He's become a lot more prideful since he became a fighter, because he realized how easy it was to kill. His mom, Achilles' mom, really wants to make Achilles into a god, and so she says, I don't like Patroclus, he's going to die, and I think you, like, need to step down from war, I don't want you to die, and all this stuff. And so Achilles steps down from war and refuses to fight, for some reason that his mom won't, said. And so later in the book, Patroclus volunteers to fight to step in as Achilles, like dress up as Achilles and fight in this war in his place. And so while he's fighting, he's kind of on this high and is killed by one of the members of Troy, and so it's really sad. And Achilles mourns him. They take his body back. This is my third relation to chemistry. They take his body back to Achilles, and Achilles mourns for days and days and days, and it just talks about how his body becomes really bloated and disfigured, and typically that just happens because, like, the lack of oxygen due to the lack of circulation kind of like goes from like an anaerobic reaction to like the citric acid cycle, and kind of affects the body that way. But that's what I wanted to use to relate to that, is Patroclus's death. After that, Achilles is killed, and they are reunited in the underworld after Achilles' soul moves on to the underworld and Patroclus's does not. Thetis finally puts his name on the grave next to Achilles, and they are reunited in the underworld. It's really sweet and a great book, and I recommend it. It's easily one of the best books I've ever read.